it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater, and welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. Thank you for continuing to join me as we're doing this great series on women leaders in the law. We have been interviewing some amazing women who have started firms, led in different areas, and accomplished different things. Today's interview is going to be fun, dynamic, and a little different. I'm honored and have the pleasure of interviewing Kim Kalmanson and Randi Cohen. So Randi and Kim have known each other for many, many years now. They can give you all the details as we start talking. And about last year at some point, as one of our conversations that have been numerous, they decided to merge their firms and have been building this incredible dynamic firm ever since. Their practice area is laser focused on clients with goals and they deliver top-notch work without breaking the bank, with values that are aligned in work and in large as we see the whole picture and taking of the person. See, Randi and Kim have a strong belief, and they practice a lot in the areas of employment, litigation, but their heart of hearts is they truly believe in the building of relationships. And that was what has aligned us from when we first met, that the value of relationships is the value of great success. Actually, and I could quote it right off their website, employment and business disputes are about money, yes, but almost always they're really about relationships. So welcome, Randi and Kim.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for having us today, Ivy.
So give me a little bit of backstory. How long have these two of you actually known each other and been working together?
We met about 2016, 2017 at a networking lunch both of us didn't really feel like attending. It was a rainy day and neither of us could be bothered, but it was a really good thing we both did.
It was far.
It was
far from you.
Very
it was far
far
from me.
So you both went out of your way and you weren't even really excited or into it.
Right. We knew some of the people that would be there and we liked them, but neither one of us particularly wanted to attend this lunch. But we both went. We didn't know each other.
Kim was late. She was wearing a very cool leather jacket.
I don't remember being late, but I do believe I was.
So we met at this lunch and actually didn't connect all that deeply at that actual meeting, but we did a short time later. Kim called me, asked, can I kick something around with you? And we had a fun conversation. And then, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks later, she called me back and said, hey, can you want to run this with me? And a different thing that had come in. And it was one of those magical cases that just, everything worked the way that it should. It hasn't ever worked that way since, but we keep trying.
The universe delivered that one opportunity to give you guys an opportunity.
Exactly. We're sort of concentric circles and we always have been, right? So I do a lot of commercial and business litigation and I always touched on employment. Randi did a lot of employment litigation and HR work, and her work touched on commercial and business. So we had this synergy for those cases in the whatever that's called, the middle of this concentric circles, that we worked really well together.
And we found that our approach and the way that we talked to people and helped shepherd them through whatever ugliness they were, encountering, right? People don't typically go to a lawyer because things are working out well, was really effective with people. They felt that they were really being taken care of. And that was really special and something that we have not found to be, super common in the way a lot of lawyers approach their.
So you both kept up moving, starting to work some things or collaborate a little bit, run things by each other. And, 6, 7 years later, what's the catalyst to say that, okay, you were both prior to this pretty much solo practitioners, to my knowledge, true?
Yep.
Or not?
Just before, we both worked at firms prior to that, but yes.
You both had background in larger firms, I'd say big law, hypothetically, went out on your own solo practices. What made you decide to actually create this partnership and move forward, building the firm you are today?
I think it happened organically, right? So we loved working together. Randi was ready to commit long before I was, which is in our natures. And I don't know, around the time my son was born, 2018-ish, we said, this is crazy. We're doing 80% of our work together. We should merge practices. But, then I had a kid.
And then I had a kid.
And then I had a kid, and then Randy had a kid. And so
And in between it was COVID. It was like, life kept getting in the way. And ultimately.
So life gets busy, so you both started building families, and you both, I have to give a shout out, you're avidly building this firm, and you both have, fairly young children, not yet in kindergarten, I believe.
Right. Correct. And we found that over the years, as we were supporting each other's personal goals and roller coasters, as much as we were supporting each other in business, it just already naturally felt like our business, our life together as partners before we were actually officially partners. One of Kim's favorite stories that she tells about us sometimes is that it took her 12 years to get married to her spouse and only 6 years to get married to me. So it's improvement.
So you're really getting the hang of this whole marriage thing, so to speak, whether in business or in life.
Next time it'll be like, I don't know, 5.5 years.
So has anything, now that you're partners and you're building a firm, and we're going to talk about the building of the firm in a moment, have you seen anything different? Has anything changed? Have you noticed anything different?
I think that one of the things that we actually miss is that as things have been growing, we work cases together less frequently, right? So we have people that are working with us that are supporting us, and that's wonderful, and business is growing, and that's wonderful, but we both from time to time say, I miss working with you. And so we try to really make sure that we have at least a handful of matters that we're working together, that we're collaborating on, because that's fundamentally how this all started and what we like.
And it's been a really interesting touchstone to keep coming back to over the course of this year of, embarking on this new joint venture together officially. What are our goals for the business? How big do we want to get? What does that look like for the back of the house if we're trying to accomplish certain things at the front of the house? And it's been really, really comforting that the tough decisions and the easy decisions both have been pretty solidly fluid for us, and that we already know how to have hard conversations with each other.
And we have for years. One of the things that's great about me and Randy is that, we've disputed about cases and how to handle cases and things of that nature, substantive matters we've had back and forth on, and we've always come to a resolution, but we've never fought about the business. We've never fought about money. We've never fought about, how to run the business, things like that. We approach it together, looking forward, trying to figure out what we want together. And that's really a great place to be.
Communication, transparency, candor, I think, are three really important values that we've never had to negotiate with each other because they just grew organically. And I think for anybody else entertaining the idea of forming a partnership and doesn't really know what that looks like, how do you release the reins a little bit? I would say make sure you have those solid underpinnings.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I'm hearing you say, which is vitally important, is both of you, if it's 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter how many people are coming together to lead a firm, that your core values are aligned. Because if your core values are not aligned, the decisions you make as partners will never be aligned.
That's 100% true. And you are not ever going to have a person in your life that you agree on how something should be handled 100% of the time. So understanding the give and take, the ebb and flow of when can the other person have the right of way? When do we need to come to consensus? And when can you yield and say, sure, we'll try it your way this time? Has taken us, I think, a really long way. And sometimes we don't get to a consensus, and we'll take the two options to the client and say, this is how Kim views it. This is how I view it. There are pros and cons to each. Let's talk it through.
Love that. Now let's look at that. That's great with a client. Now let's look at that as far as running a business. Okay. Because that's what we're going to talk about. You two, there's no question or any doubt about your legal expertise, about your legal success. You've both have built dynamic books of business, have done dynamic cases over the years. Now you come to being business owners. What did you know and what didn't you know, and how have you navigated it?
We didn't know anything about it. That's why we have you, Ivy.
We didn't know how much we didn't know. And, some of it is really basic 101 that we are still getting our arms around. But, being lawyers is a completely different thing than being business owners. And we're still deciding what's working, what's not, what we like, what we don't. But what we agree on is that we need help, and we are surrounding ourselves, with people who have the values that are aligned with ours and who are able to see us as three-dimensional 360 people and help us build the firm that's true to what we care about.
And in some ways, it's actually not that different from practicing law, right? At least when I started practicing law, and I won't speak for Randi, but I see her nodding in the background. I started my own practice, not ever having been on my own running a case by myself. And I had mentors, and I went to my mentors and I said, what do I do in this situation? What do I do in that situation? And when you have people who support you, who guide you, you learn how to do it yourself. And that's, I think, what we're doing as a business too, right? We're starting from, okay, these are the things we know we want, but we don't know how to get there. And then we found great people to help us, like you.
So I'll always say what has, and I have, and be upfront about this. I have had the pleasure in the last few months of working with both Kim and Randi and getting a lot of the nuts and bolts foundation. And I just want to give a shout out to both of you. Is you came and we talked originally. You were not just about just combining two solo practices. You came to me and said, we want to combine two solo practices, and we want to build a firm that will help our kids grow, provide for college, like truly like grow in the next, 10, 15, and 20 years. And a lot of people, it takes them a little bit to get there. And the two of you really came with, this is what we want to achieve. And so we're looking to accelerate. And again, hats off to both of you, because you jumped right in and started expanding your team and realized you can't reach your long-term goals if you just rely on the two of you doing everything, which is what you were doing previously.
Yeah, we came to you at a real inflection point where the legal work was there. We had a reputation and a client following. We don't really spend money on networking or marketing. Our clients and our adversaries, our fellow attorneys in the marketplace are our brand ambassadors. And so the work was there. And you honestly really helped us operationalize that, which has been wonderful, except it's also terrible because now we need to learn how to oversee other people's work and release the reins. And that's uncomfortable for us, but we're leaning into it. We have a fantastic senior counsel who is really a strong backbone of our practice now. And we love the story about how she came to us. She's actually a former client of mine prior to merging. So she has known me, she has known my work, she has known how we work, and she's in the sunset of her career. So she's only looking for part-time hours, and she has just been a tremendous asset to us and a great time. And we have another couple of attorneys that are starting to really develop into the fabric of the firm, and
you've hired back end support. I know one of the things is, I'll always say, any real business, you need an accountant, you need right? We need professional, we want financial planners. You guys came with goals in mind for not just yourselves but your families in building this out. And one of the first things we looked at is to making sure that you both had the professional resources for the firm and for your families moving forward.
Absolutely.
So what has surprised you both so far?
For me, the challenge associated with managing people. I think I have never done that as a business owner before. And I find it tough, especially when, the legal industry and the practice of law is so particular, right? So someone sends me a brief and it might be great, but it's not my brief, right? And
you're used to writing the briefs, you're used to writing it your way. You did it all, and now, exactly. Right? And it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just doesn't make it yours, which is really well said.
Right. And there's a real tension between letting go and saying, this is good. It's not mine, but it's good. And stepping in and saying, oh, I'm going to rewrite half of this brief or more, honestly, because it doesn't sound like my voice. And I think that process of figuring out how much to push and how much not to push really has been difficult for me.
I share that sentiment. Figuring out how much to relax and release and let other people do what they do versus this is our name, our brand, our clients, we want to tightly oversee is, I think, a tightrope we have not yet fine-tuned, but we're working on it.
What has been most fun since you made this
The
decision?
marriage has been great. You know, working with Randi as a real partner, we still get a kick out of saying the word partner still today. Every time I write it, every time I say it, I'm like, oh, my partner. And, you know, in some ways, the financial decisions that we make together are even more impactful than the financial decisions we make with our actual spouses, right? You know, it's tricky, it's hard, but I think we've always loved collaborating, and I think we still like doing that.
I completely agree. We've always enjoyed each other, even when moments have been difficult that we need to work through. But now we have a shared baby and our families really love each other. We've started implementing family weekends every few months. And our kids, who are really close in age, just love each other. And it feels really, really nice to be growing something for all of us.
And it's total chaos.
It's very loud. It's very, very loud.
Children under 5 is a lot of children in the house.
4 children under 5 with 4 adults, you're probably still outnumbered.
And a dog.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
In our last family weekend, I thought I was on deck for the high priority nap. And then Kim's spouse had wound up working overnight, and I was definitely bumped. I couldn't even be mad about it. I was next in line for the nap. It didn't come, but I think I started my adult beverages early that afternoon.
So in looking forward for our listeners here, any tips or advice that you would give for people who are thinking about partnerships, mergers, doing this, not doing this on their own, or on the other hand, also going out on their own for the first time?
I think
Randi?
if you go out on your own, never mind a partnership, if you go out on your own, the most important thing that you should make sure you have a sturdy supply of are people willing to give you an ear, a template to work off of as you build your library, who will just be kind and generous and giving and want to see you succeed. And then when you've come a far way, baby, in your own journey, you pay that forward again. I would never have gotten where I am if it were not for the kindness and generosity and wisdom of mentors and colleagues who have done more than I have before me.
100%. I absolutely agree. And when it comes to a partnership, spoken from someone who has trouble with commitment, you just know when it's the right person. I know it sounds kitschy, but you do. You know, when I explored several partnerships before I ended up marrying, for lack of a better word, Randi. And I don't actually even know if you know this. I actually hired someone about, I don't know, 10 years ago I was about to form a partnership with someone. We had an LLC agreement. We, went through the steps. We hired a brand developer. And at the last minute, I pulled out. I said, this isn't for me. You just know when it's right. And then I think from there.
So I think I'm going to jump in, and that I'm hearing you both say, really check in with your gut. We very often like, oh, that's a little wooish, Ivy, to check in with your gut. Yet very often our instincts are pretty damn sharp.
It's true. And, and then it's not that different from when you go out on your own. Find good mentors, find people who know more about it than you do. You can't know everything.
You can't know everything. And I think one of the things that's going to be most important for folks who are considering a partnership is to make sure you know that you care about the same things. Are you looking to build a 3-person shop or a 20-person shop? If one person is excellent at bringing in business, but only one person is excellent at servicing the business, how do you feel about that financially? Are you going to want to each, eat what you kill, or do you both want to have a pot? Figure out what your values are with respect to the work, with respect to the money, with respect to expenses. You don't want that to become a light bulb moment after it's too late.
And I think that's really well said. And that goes back to our values, and some of the hardest conversations are upfront conversations we have around money. And I will always say it's a conversation that is vital. It's a conversation that should be had in many different ways. You should look at each other as any marriage, which is what a partnership is. And I have had partners in my businesses over the last 30 some odd years, and know when we look at a marriage, look at a prenup as if you were getting divorced, what's the worst case scenario, and how would that be managed upfront? And I think that is an important thing to look at as well.
Absolutely. Well, the goals for the partnership, right? Kim and I, as business and employment law specialists, right, work with a lot of folks who are unhappy in the business relationships that they've created, and we help them untangle those messes. And sometimes there's just a disconnect. Maybe one person only thought that it was supposed to last for 5 or 10 years and not be a lifelong thing. I don't think Kim and I ever want to do this again. But I'm glad to know that we both feel that way. And I think that's it. I think we both also know that it's going to be either a long time or a damn special person before we invite a new person, a third person into the family. And you want to make sure that you are aligned on that. If one person is distracted by the new shiny thing over there, doesn't want to give time to make sure that all of the seeds are planted in the same strength of foundation, you're going to have a disconnect.
Fair enough. Well, listeners, I can't thank you enough for tuning in. As you can see, both Kim and Randi are brilliant attorneys, brilliant business leaders, and really have their act together. They've come together strongly on the belief of their core values that they have used to build this firm today and actually start this merger. And I believe we'll see, based on their core values, we'll see very, very long-term success for them over the next 5, 10, and probably at their kids' high school graduations as they move into college together. So I hope you are enjoying this series on women leaders in the law. We have had some amazing women from all different perspectives. If you are enjoying it, check out the other interviews. Also note that we are doing this in conjunction to highlighting the Women-Owned Law Networking Group, which is also a national organization. It is aligned with helping women leaders in the law really know about business and the importance and values of what it is about running a business. So it's a great month. We have the symposium this month, which is great. If you're curious, check out all the links below. Most importantly, check out Randi and Kim and their website, which is
Kalmansoncohen.com, right?
Absolutely. And on that note, take a moment and identify what today has resonated with you. What meant something to you? Why did it resonate? Why is it important? And most importantly, take a moment, write it down, and make the decision. What are you going to do about it that's going to impact your growth, your career, and your business? Thank you again for joining me here at Her Success Story. See you next time.
Don't need your approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.